Okay, those of you who want to do dados, come gather around. All right, so a dado is a slot in wood. And why would you want to use a dado if you're building bookcases? Probably the first place that you start with a dado. And just for purposes of terminology, dado goes across grain. If it's going with the grain, it's called a groove. And if it's out at the edge of the piece of wood, it's called a rabbet, with an E, not a rabbit. R-A-B-B-E-T. Grab some wood here. But if you were going to build a bookcase and you want your shelves to stick into there, it would be a very good firm joiner. So you got to have a notch in here exactly the width of this. How do you use a dado blade? First of all, when you're working on any of the equipment here, when you're making a change to it, shut off the power. Would you cut power to the delta? And they're marked over in that and then you double check it. It's off. So, if you're not familiar with how to change a blade on a saw, both of these saws now are right-hand thread. So, to loosen, you always pull toward you.
That tripped me up the other day. I thought it was left hand.
That one was way too tight. When you tighten it up, just snug it. Not too loose, but not too tight. The torque of the motor will continue to tighten. There's always a stabilizer on the outside, most likely thing that you'll drop down into the side. Guaranteed. When you lay a saw blade down, don't lay it on the metal. Lay it on something soft, because metal could knock the edges off of the carbon. So lay it on something soft. We have two kinds of dados that we're going to talk about. This is a dado set. Comes in the two outside cutting blades and a bunch of spacers, chippers that fit in between. And then it also has another little cheat sheet to tell you what chippers to put together to come up with an approximate width. Grab and to work with this kind of a set, you want your dado to be snug. You don't want to have to force it in, but you don't want to have the other piece fall out either. Just nice and snug. So it's a lot of trial and error. And remember, just because it says it's half-inch plywood, it isn't necessary. Is that 73 1/28? Great. Round a half. These two blades are different. They say out. So the one that this one has teeth that'll cut the sharp edge on this side, so it's going to go on first. Remember, you always want the cutters sharp toward you. And so we're shooting, what was that, close to half, right? So if we want a half says add the large chipper. You want that to go in the sandwich, and then this one out on the outside. So that's going to be approximate. So you're going to just have to try it, trial and error, and see. Too big, too little, and we're not going to fuss with the too big, too little.
I guess that's what those shims would be for, if you need
That's
it.
exactly what.
Paper shims, charred shims. Warren, as you're tightening that up, the teeth of the two outer blades have to line up in any way? Or
No, they don't. Good question, though. They don't have to line up, but you don't want any teeth touching each other either. So you want to get that large spacer in the middle, kind of falling in between.
The
And when you
interior
get-
chippers can't touch the body of the whipping blades.
Yes,
The outside blades.
exactly.
And
Nor
chippers,
each other.
Does
If
it
you have
help, does it help the cutting performance if you do stagger the teeth on the two hard blades? I heard that sometime ago.
I don't know. I don't think so. Now, what they were looking at is all this stuffing here. These are spacers. So if you wind up and this is too wide, you're going to have to go to a narrower chipper. You never run without the two outside blades. The two outside blades together are 1/8 inch, so they make a 1/4 inch cut if you put just those two together. And then you add different sized chippers in the middle to make it wider, and then you use various collection of these things. And really, if you want paper that thin, it will make a difference. It will make a difference.
Warren, if you're using just the two outer blades, let's say you're making a
Then they have to be
set,
separated.
so then you do want to set them.
Exactly.
And they will touch.
And this Dado set lives down under here. And then there are also collections of various inserts like that. Remember, Dado's not going to be very high ever. It's only going to cut partway through your wood. Okay. Look at that
Suppose
now.
you'd want to,
All
for
right.
structural reasons, how deep would you,
How deep
how
you want
deep would
to?
you want to go, or how deep would you not want to go
Halfway.
at most?
Yeah, standard is halfway. So if you're cutting 3/4 plywood, you go 3/8. Cutting 1/2 inch plywood, 1/4. Notice it has different sound because it's moving a lot of air. So we just do a trial.
The question of
Too narrow. So you just have to eyeball it and say, what am I going to throw in there to make it wider? I'd probably use the piece of cardboard in this case. But that's the way it works. It goes this way, it's called a groove. If you wanted to do a rabbit, because a rabbit, if you're building a box, you want to put things together like this. You want the rabbit off the outside edge. Don't slide that over into the blade. That's what you really want. Grab me that, there's a thing that says sacrificial. Yeah, and then the two blue clamps that,
Just run it on the outside.
You don't have to be up against
If it's on a rabbit, you can run it like this too. Take that edge off.
you absolutely can.
So you don't have to. Yeah.
this is how this gives me an opportunity to demo these things too. So now, this is sacrificial. We're going to bring this over into the blade.
So then you get an exact width.
Exactly. The orange one. Now, can I slide over? Yes, I can, because it's not coming clear up through. That's correct. And to do your joinery like that, again, it's not quite wide enough, so we're not flush over here. That's how you would do that. Questions about that? I'm going to show you one other kind of dado blade. Turn this off again. This other blade is a different kind of dado blade. It's called a wobbler. And it borders on weird. It's a single blade that runs eccentrically. And that's what Chuck's taken out of that little blue case for us. And there's a bushing in there, right?
Yeah, it's gonna work.
Gotta have the bushing.
So why did they go to the wobbler one?
I find it easier to adjust for fairly narrow, like if you're doing drawer bottoms, the grooves for drawer bottoms. I can really fine tune that.
Anything less than a quarter of an inch, shortest you can go on a dado is a quarter inch. If you need a 3/8 to 3/16 bent.
That's true, you can do that. That is more designed that way because it's cheaper, it's just simply cheaper than to have those many blades with those many teeth. You've got a lot less.
Yeah. Now,
There are some drawbacks that go into the
yeah, if you get too wide, it's not practical. It will not put a perfectly square bottom in your dado because the blade is doing this. That's how it accomplishes the set. In this particular set, you have this blade and the bushing. I have come in and found this on here without the bushing, which just adds to the wobble.
It's gonna add to the wobble already.
Can't that also affect the spindle over your?
Yeah, it's not going to do it a bit of good. So make sure you got the bushing in it. Sure the top of the blades are facing you. And then there's a scale. You adjust it. You adjust the amount of wobble. And you line it up with the line on the, like that. So let's say we wanted,
Almost half.
I don't want to go a half inch with this. Let's do 3/16. I think I can about read that. How about a quarter?
So technically speaking, even at a narrow setting of this, you're not getting truly square.
Not getting a flat bottom.
Never.
You can get a square side, but you're not getting a flat bottom. Square side from the face of your material going into your dado, that will be square. It will not be square across the bottom. The side of your dado,
Because the blade is doing this. So you get the arc
you get an arc.
at the outside edge. And the stabilizer washer does not fit with this, so you use just the nut. Let's see. 'Cause it moves when you're putting it on. But the beauty is you can adjust it by looking at the scale right there. And it still may move as you tighten it. Supposedly right at a quarter. And this is going to make a different sound. Go ahead and turn it out.
Ugly sound.
Yeah, it is an ugly sound. So we're going to do a groove with this one. So, who knows how about it? $7:37. So all you got to do to adjust to what you want is to turn off the power, adjust it, and check it out. Questions? All right, that's all there is for Dado. Mr.
I have one